Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Katie, and if you're new here, I do videos about ADHD, lifestyle, beauty, everything that I'm interested in, I do it. If you've clicked on this video, I have ADHD, and for a very long time I was unmedicated. So obviously I've had a lot of coping mechanisms over the time, but I'm also in a unique situation where I went for the medication and then it did not react well with me whatsoever. If you want to know the full story of that, I do have another video about my entire medication journey so far and my ADHD diagnosis, how I got there, etc. I took the medication and it didn't go well for me. So 3 months or so, maybe 4, into the medication, I made the conscious decision to end it all. And I was like, I'm not taking any more medication. I would like to take more, but I'm from the UK and this was back in like 2018, 2019. And so there was not any other options for me at the time. So I had to go unmedicated again, and that went through for 2 years, I believe, about 2 years roughly. So I have been on one end of the spectrum and then the other end of the spectrum, and basically I know how it feels to live a life undiagnosed and still make coping mechanisms without realizing. But also be diagnosed, know I have ADHD, know what the meds can do for me, but then still have to be unmedicated and work my life around working out how to, effectively help myself continue the level of productivity that I had while I was on medication. I am going to give you a full mini disclaimer. I am not good off medication at all. So I'm going to give you my coping tools and mechanisms, but I want to be completely transparent with you that I don't beat ADHD with them. These just help me not break down physically. These tools are things that I've just automatically picked up over a period of time, but in no way does it help the actual symptoms itself. For me, that was medication. And if these help you, then that's great. And if you don't want to be medicated, that's great. I do. I love being medicated. It allows me to actually get stuff done and actually be who I am. Whereas I go in a very dark, depressive hole if I'm not. These are the tools that I use to help me unconsciously and consciously while I had ADHD and was unmedicated. I have to write stuff down immediately or I will forget about it. There is no question about it. And if there's birthdays or things I'm doing or anything, I have to write down. I have to have something that then throws an alarm back at me and tells me that it's about to happen. So, Kate, this is happening. This is do this, don't forget. So 2 tools that really help me. Also, none of this is sponsored by any of these people. These are just generally my helpful things that I use on a day-to-day basis that actually allow me to not forget things. And I use an app called Family Wall. Family Wall, I'll just show it you. It's like a big calendar situation, but you can sync it up with your partner, your roommates, whoever you live with, your parents, and you can both put things in the calendar there and then, and it pops up on the other person's phone. So the best thing about this for me is if something's going on with me, I can put it in the calendar. And then same with my boyfriend Ollie, if he wants to put something in the calendar and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this on Monday, why didn't you think to tell me, blah 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 blah, and he's like, I did tell you. I told you we were going for a meal with my mom. And I'm like, oh, did you? No, you didn't. And he's like, yeah, you did. You put it in the Family Wall. To go even further with that, I also recently found another app. I don't know how it is so far though, so I'm gonna sit on it a bit and then I'll recommend it to you. We connected our friends into that using Family Wall, so they use it as well. And then you all integrate together and then you can see one another's calendars that you give access to. So now we can always see when the other person's free and I won't have to feel awkward of messaging and being like, oh, do you want to play Fortnite tonight? Oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? So yeah, that saved my relationships and my life. I just literally, I don't even think, I just put it in. As soon as I say, oh yeah, let's do that, I don't think, I've given up realizing that I'll be like, oh, I'll get to that later. I'm never gonna get to it later. Later doesn't exist for me. Later is too late. By the time I've remembered it, too late. The next one, similar to that vein, is Notion. So I use an app called Notion. It is the best app ever. It's just a big giant Kanban board that you can make your own. You can put different little sections on it. So I have a section for everything. I have a section for work, for life, for things I want to do. Every time I screenshot something and I'm like, oh, I'll get back to that. At the end of the month, I try really hard to have a screenshot morning where I'll go back through all the screenshots, write them in my Notion board if I haven't quite had time to go and do that there and then. Most of the time the screenshots are completely out of date and don't even matter anymore and aren't relevant, but it's good for that. And then I go back on that and then I keep myself on it, and then I have the Notion on synced up with my iPad, my phone, and my work laptop. So everything is constantly in front of me. If you have ADHD, you'll know that if it goes away from your sight, it doesn't exist. The thing with Notion is that I like to keep things up in front, right there and then. Today I had on my to-do list, make this video. It got to halfway through the day, I was like, what was I supposed to do today? make this video. You can use any tool really, any way that you personally know you will keep looking back to it. I have had to-do list books, never fill those in. I've tried to-do lists, I've tried general just reminders on my phone. For some reason they don't come through properly, never do it. I also get really annoyed with the alarms, so I'll turn the alarms off and then I'll ignore it and ignore the alarms. So the best thing to do is just put it in somewhere that you know you'll look at every day. And I put the Notion on the front homepage of my phone to make sure I look at it every single day. It's there. In this Notion board, I put books I want to read, things I've seen online that I want to do. If I'm like, oh, I want to do a cooking course, I'll write down, do a cooking course, look into cooking course. It has completely changed the way that I like deal with my life. Waking up in the morning, ugh, one of my worst things. I could never do it with the paralysis and everything. I was lucky enough to have my boyfriend at one point being like, yeah, I'll get you up. And we tried everything. I was like, throw water on me, I don't care. Like, pull me out of bed. I will be horrible. I'm really sorry in advance. Like, there's nothing I could do. But just do whatever you can. Get me out of bed, because once we get past that 10 minutes of like crazy, I'm up. It's fine. And then I love you because I'm like, yeah, you woke me up. That's not sustainable, especially if you are in a committed living relationship and it makes you they start to regret the fact that like they even offered to help you, especially when you're being like a raging hormonal nasty person and they're just there waking you up and you're like, no, I do my own thing, like get off my back, what are you doing? One of the best things I can suggest for getting up is get yourself two things. One, which worked for me for a really long time and then I got used to it. So this is another disclaimer as well. Like maybe some things like you'll work with and then you get used to it, or your brain knows and you can't trick your brain anymore. The goal is to trick your brain at all times. Yeah, we have a big giant clock and the clock is an hour behind and it stays an hour behind. And I'm telling you now, every morning when I look up at that clock to be like, oh, have I got an extra like 2 minutes left in bed, I look and I see it's like an hour ahead and I'm like, oh my God, is that the time? Like what the hell, I'm gonna be late, oh my God. And every morning so far, this will stop at some point. My brain will automatically know. This is a new thing I've introduced. My brain gets me up and goes, oh my God, no, no, no. So I get up in time, go to the toilet, quickly wash some things on my face, as I always do when I'm in a rush, wash my face, get everything ready, look at my phone, and it's an hour behind. And I'm like, oh. Same with the whole tricking situation. Everyone in my life knows if there is a serious place that we need to be, and this is even medicated, this is just me. If we need to be on time for something and you need me there for a certain time, feed me the wrong time. Don't ever trust me with the right time. Always give me like 45 minutes, because 9 times out of 10 that'll be 15 minutes over, and then that gives an additional extra half an hour in the event of like traffic or stuff like that. I live in the city, so there's a lot of chance that traffic could like also add to my lateness, and I'm just sat there anxious the whole time and I hate it. And then I get there and they're like, oh yeah, we're fine, we aren't tricked you again, happening again. And I'm like, but also, because I don't feel the guilt that I'm the one that made everybody late. If you have somebody in your life that you can trust with this, or that you've told that you have ADHD to, ask them to lie to you. Ask them to change it up every now and again. Like the good thing with my friends and family is they don't do this every single time. They only do it when it's important to get me somewhere on time. Every other time they'll just let me show up at whatever time, but they won't tell me it's an important time either. They'll literally just say like, oh yeah, we'll meet up at like 12, and they know it's for 1. And I'm like, yeah, fine. Gets there at 25 past 12. So try and see if you can get people in your life that can trick you like that. Another good way of tricking is, say, if you want to clean up immediately. If I need to clean, I invite somebody round, because I know that I'm gonna panic clean if someone's coming. There is some kind of, whether it's to do with the rejection sensitive dysphoria, I don't know. There is something in me that will not let other people see how mentally messy I am. I hate it. It's terrifying. It's exposing. I'm like, oh my God, this is too much. But I physically call someone and like, I don't want them round. Like, I love my friends. If you're watching this, of course I always want you around, but 9 times out of 10, I don't want really to have you in. I probably wanted just a chill night where I do some work or do whatever. No, you're actually helping me. You are helping me tidy my flat, because the second I hear that you're coming around, oh, that's it. I'm ready. Dopamine, adrenaline, let's do this. My Hoover's out, my clothes are put away, things that I didn't do for a month were done in seconds, the bins have gone downstairs. Oh, maybe force yourself, and always go for somebody who will actually come around. That gives you enough time as well, that isn't too close, that you have actually enough time to get all the jobs done. Also as well, Get your friends to trick you and just randomly call you up every now and again and just be like, oh, I'm literally near yours, I'm gonna pop in if that's all right. And then you be like, oh my God, what? Yeah, sure. Because you can't say no, because you're a people pleaser. You'll never say no. So you're like, oh really? How far away are you? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm about 25 minutes away, maybe half an hour away. I'm just gonna pop in for a coffee and then I'll leave. And you just look around and you're like, oh my God, they're coming around. Yeah, that's fine. Like, that's absolutely fine. I'll see you when you get here. And then you panic. But then they don't show up. And then you've got a clean house. And there you go. Done. What a great way. I've had that a couple of times. I'm not gonna lie, you get really annoyed after it, but then you look down and you're like, oh, I did it. It's done. And now I actually have the rest of my night because no one's coming around. The battery just died, so I'm hoping that it's not like too much of a different face change from when I was last talking. But yeah, hi, welcome back. I mean, you didn't know I went, but like, I did go. A huge thing for me was that coffee. I never used to like it before, so I used to have a lot of energy drinks, and they are not good for you. I love Monster Energy, and I still love Monster Energy, but I'm not here to recommend that you do what I did, which was over-medicate yourself by drinking lots and lots of energy drinks that really aren't good for your heart, so don't do it. But that's what I used to do when I didn't realize I was self-medicating, and if you can get natural organic caffeine in any way, shape or form, then you might be able to like elevate your caffeine levels, and that can help with the brain fog. You might find yourself having a couple more coffees than usual. Everybody else always says like, oh, if I have one coffee, I'm shaking till the end of the night, can't go to bed, and you're just like, I could literally drink a coffee and then fall asleep. So I used to drink a lot of coffee and drink a lot of energy drinks, but I do not recommend them, but that's what I did. I have a section in my bedroom which is just like a messy countertop, and I have a rule that every week I'll obviously try and clean it. Let's be real, I'm not gonna, but I'll try. But anything that I need to remember, and like the table and everything else, like we have an unspoken rule in this house that if it needs to be out, it stays out. We don't put things away. Nobody puts things away that are mine. I don't put things away that are Ollie's. Like, we just don't do it. Because if it goes in a drawer, it's gone. Gone until I next decide to like organize that drawer and see what's going on in that drawer. So it's just best to just leave it as it is, and then that way I can always find it and it's always there as a visual representation. If I cannot leave it there, it's a good idea to put visual representations everywhere. And again, use my Notion, use everything. Like, don't forget to do this. I always think as well, put post-it notes. It's your home, who cares what it looks like? You can always pull them down when people come around. Put post-it notes in the areas, if you need to be reminded of things, where you're going to go. So if you're going in the toilet, if your morning routine when you wake up is bathroom, go get changed in a different room, or like buy your wardrobe, like put a post-it note on the wardrobe, put a post-it note on the bathroom mirror, put a post-it note on your shoes, physically on your shoes, put a post-it note on your bag, put a post-it note, say if it's to remember your lunch, put it on the front of the fridge, not inside the fridge, on the front of the fridge, that says K, or like your name, like, look, food, don't forget it. And then the second you see that and you are right next to it as well, do it, just do it. Don't forget, just do it. I also, if I feel like my brain is just too much and there's way too much going on, I'll just get like a doodle pad, and I'll just like a notepad and a pen, and I'll just doodle, and sometimes random words will come out. So it'll say like frustration, or like chicken for lunch, or like completely random things that probably normally wouldn't be anything I would ever cohesively say. And the act of just writing them out makes me go like, what? Process it. And then I'm okay like with the rest of it. So if I've got something big that I need to think about, or if I'm working on something and my brain's just going like 10 to the dozen, I always kind of try to just write as much stuff out on paper as possible first before I start to think about it, so that I almost have that like brain dump of everything that's in there first. If you are prone to losing things like I am all the time, get a hook. Like, I would lose my keys every single time. And even still, if my partner still uses my keys, like, he does lose them and I lose it at him, because I'm like, I have a system now, this is it. But I used to develop these two different things. So it's kind of, I don't know what kind of behavior it is, but it's only because it allows me to remember if I've done something. So I have a key hook just by the front door. So when I come in through the front door, it goes on the key hook. The keys are there, that's it. I don't even think about that now. It's taken me about 2 years to develop that habit, but having the key hook makes it easier. Rather than coming in and just throwing it on the table, make it easy for yourself. Like, put it in front of you, put it literally as soon as you come in. Go get one of those little command hook things that cost like £1, £2 from B&Q. Just get a command hook, put them on. It doesn't have to look fancy. You haven't got to wait weeks to go and find the best one. Just put one on the hook. And then another thing I would recommend as well is always keep things that you're going to need right by where you go on the very last part of your journey. So say I'm about to go to the car, I'm gonna forget my card and my driving license, right? So when I come in that day, I just literally dump them all next to the key on the key fob. And that's the easiest way to do it, because that way everything's all in one place and I'm not like, oh my God, I need to find this. Where is this? Oh my God, I have got it. And then I get in the car and I'm like, forgot this, because I was too busy faffing about trying to see where everything else was. Another weird thing I do is when I lock the door, because there's so many times I'll lock the door and then I'll get to work and I'm like, I really don't think I locked the door. One time we went to New York and I went all the way to New York on the plane, and then it wasn't until we got off the plane and we literally had landed in JFK that I was like, I don't think I locked the door. I really don't think I locked the door. And we didn't have anyone to go and check. So even though I had the best holiday ever in New York, that whole holiday was like little voice underneath just going like, you didn't lock the door, somebody's gonna nick your telly, you're gonna come back to no telly, like this is all well and good that you're having a great time in New York, but someone's gonna nick your telly. And he didn't. I locked the door. So now I developed this stupid little thing where I'll lock the door and then I'll do a, for 2 seconds, that's it. 2 seconds, like, and then I always laugh at myself and I make sure it's cringy, make sure it's like the cringiest thing you've ever done. So much so that you almost trigger like an anxiety in your brain. It's like, oh my God, did anyone want to see me do that? Because that was awful. Because all you'll think about on your way to work was how silly you look doing that. But then you'll know that when you did that, it was because you just locked the door. Try and find ways to like make it stick with you. Like, I know how much my brain will play up on me even if no one looked. Like if I sat here just then and was like, did something really cringy on the camera, I'm gonna cringe for myself while editing, while recording, while putting this live, even though I'm not gonna put it in, because I'm gonna think, I can't believe I did that. Cannot believe I did that. Cannot believe that like that came out of me. I am weird. I am lame. I have iPhones and Macs and Apple products. So Find My iPhone is an absolute godsend in my life. It is the best thing ever. I have it turned on with all my friends as well, so they can always see my location, because I don't care if it gets lost. I'd much rather they know where the phone was than like, oh look, they know where I am, they know I'm at Asda and it's late at night. Like, who cares? I trust all these people. If anything happens to me as well, they always know where to look for me first. I was ill driving home one of the days the other week, and it was a really good tool to have somebody there watching me drive home while I was on my way back. I would say one of the things I would recommend to you, if you lose things really, really regularly and you haven't got a way of like actually like monitoring them, you can get like Apple AirTag things. I've not got them, they're really expensive. I think I'd benefit from them, but I just can't part with that much money for like a teeny tiny tag. But you can get like tags on Amazon that Bluetooth connect things that, or like buttons that you can put on where if you signal it from your phone, it'll make it make a noise and stuff like that. So use stuff like that. Like there are so many tools and so many ways that you can just make your life a little bit easier that I would do it. And I would also recommend as well, work out your worst situation. Like what are the things that are the worst for you? And then ADHD proof your house. Go ahead while you're waiting for your medication diagnosis, or maybe you're just waiting for an assessment. Maybe you haven't even been diagnosed yet, but you know these little things. Write down your flaws and be really brave about it and just be like, look, right, I'm lazy. You're not, but I'm lazy and I procrastinate. Well, why are you procrastinating? You're procrastinating because you don't want to do something, or that it's not giving you joy to do it. Or that even if it is, it's just you still can't do it. So think about the block, but then think like, okay, so for me, I love getting in the shower. I love being in the shower. Shower is it's so comfy and so nice, but I hate the idea of getting in because I hate the idea of my wet hair. I hate having the time to dry it. I hate the idea of the cold as soon as I get out the shower. So the act of having a shower and going in the shower isn't the issue, but I put it off for hours and hours and hours because of those two little things. I've even bought pamper products in the past to like make it easier. It still doesn't take it away. Some days I want to go in the shower and I'm like, yep, get me in there now. And then other days I will put it off for hours, if not days. Let's be real. I put it off for days. And then I look at myself and I'm like, what a slob. Like, you want a shower. And the second I get in the shower, love it. Don't want to come out of the shower. Work with yourself in different ways. Like now I try and make sure that I'll get under the duvet if I need a shower, and I'll put socks on and I'll put extra warm clothes on and I'll make myself really uncomfortable and hot. And then the whole thing will be that I will then go have like a cool shower because I'm so hot, I can't. The whole place feels horrible. I'm overwhelmed. I'm gonna be sick because I'm so hot. And then I get in the shower, and the second I'm in the shower, I'm fine. And when I come out, it's not that bad either. So I found ways like that. I'm no saint. It's not fixed. Not every day do I actually follow these rules, but they help occasionally. I am gonna do a whole video on time blindness just because it was such a big thing thing for me. But a huge tip that if you're always late to everything, no matter what, when you input a schedule into your phone, you're gonna forget it in your calendar no matter what. If I were you, schedule it for like 15 minutes before or 20 minutes before, or if you have a sweet spot of where you're always late, like I'm always late roughly about 20-25 minutes if there's bad traffic, but mostly 15-20 minutes. That's like my cutoff. I'm never later than that unless something really bad has happened or it's beyond my control. When you put that plan into the calendar, literally be like, oh, okay, so I don't know, I'm half an hour late every time and we've got a meal at 5:30. Put it in your calendar for 5. You know you're going to be 10 minutes late anyway when you first do it. If you're a little bit like, oh, but what if we get there early? What if you get there early? Is that a bad thing? Would you not feel more confident and calm and less anxious and less stressed if you get there and you're like, oh, when they say to at the table, like, oh, your table's not till 5:30, and you're like, oh, that's fine, we'll wait in the bar. We'll wait in the bar. No, that's fine. We won't rush to the table. Absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. Call us when you're ready. That's so much more fun. I also use my focus settings on my iPhone a lot. I like to close everything down. I know for a fact, like the worst thing for me though is that I work in social media, so I have to have things like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of the above open, which really isn't good for when you're trying to not distract yourself. But one of the biggest things I do have is that I will turn on work mode, and work mode, I will just have some of those. And if I see myself start to like get too into like actually the social media and not the planning of the social media, then I step away from the computer for a second, and then I will then set my intentions every morning. When I get to the computer, I write a to-do list that I will put in Notion so I don't forget. And my to-do list will be like, today I have to do this, this, this. If somebody in work asks me to do anything, before I respond to them, I go and put it in my to-do list, which is all in my Notion. No, back to Notion again, I love Notion. But I go and put it in there, and that's the way I remember to go and tick it off and be like, yep, okay, I've done it. It's also a really great way that if you are in work and this is sort of things that you're doing for work as well, or uni or anything, do that, because you've actually got like a physical log of every single thing you've done for that company, which can be really, really handy for if you're coming up for like progression meetings and stuff like that, because you can be like, well, actually, here's the 50 million things you asked me to do this week, and here's my actual job. I know I did it because I had to tick it off because of my to-do list, and I know I had to, it's definitely true because somebody will have said that and I'd have gone, and put it in. So yeah, I'll take that pay raise, please. There's loads more tips and tricks, so if you want me to do another video, they aren't mine, but I can do a lot more research. Also, at the top of my head, I probably have a couple more as well that I do, but right now I can't remember. But yeah, if you want any more tips and tricks for unmedicated ADHD and ways that other people have found, you know, little things that they can do to put things in place, then absolutely message below and I will make another video in this series. Anything to kind of help my fellow ADHDers that were undiagnosed, because I feel you. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and drop me a comment if you want any more ADHD related content. I wasn't planning on making many more after this, it was just mostly what came to my head. But yeah, if you want more tips and tricks, if you want to know more in-depth things, I'm probably going to do the time blindness one, so we'll be all about like what is time blindness, because it is the worst thing for me that nobody ever told me about, and it's definitely the one symptom I'd say I probably have really researched the most into. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.